All right, and now we move on to Abyss 112. This is literally the first time I went into this floor. I went into this basically blind. A friend of mine had already cleared it, so he kind of teed me off and let me know that the Brutal Ferris team, as we call it, is literally key here. It's basically godlike. So I just took his advice and was like, all right, I'll just go in with the Brutal Ferris team that I normally run, which is a really low investment team. Even like, most intermediate mid game players can very easily have this team. So this is awesome. This like legitimately 112 I think is the easiest floor of Abyss in like 30 Abyss floors. Like it hasn't been this easy since probably like Abyss 80 or so. So yeah, this is very very simple. It's the same strategy. For the boss, he's invincible until you kill all of the mobs. If you use an AoE move like I'm about to use right here, it CR pushes everybody on his team, but since they're all going next anyway, it doesn't really matter. So how this team works, if you've never seen the Brutal Ferris team, is that Taranor Guard has an S2 passive that increases his dual attack chance, and whenever he dual attacks, it CR pushes the entire team by 25%. So you have Tamarin, Kitty Clarissa, and Roz, and all three of them are characters that will cause a dual attack with the highest attack character. So if that's Taranor Guard, you're going to be CR pushing your whole team quite fast, quite often. So that's all you're trying to do with this team, is we are just using Taranor Guard to defense break on his turns, or S3 to get souls if we need it. And then everyone else, we're just spamming their dual attack move whenever it's up. So that way we can keep the turns going. We'll be just taking so many turns that they just won't be able to do anything. Kitty Clarissa obviously is nice also because she doubles as a cleanse, which you'll need, for 113. So if you have this team, you probably have this floor on lock, and you probably have 113 on lock as well. We don't care about the defense, or I should say the blind here. It doesn't really matter. Just as long as we're taking more turns than our opponent, we're winning. It's really nice, though. They have the targets on everybody in the front, so you don't have to worry about your Taranor Guard if he's in the back getting popped. That's why he's in the back. You don't have to worry too much about the damage because the idle mode's just going to heal it back up. Like my Taranor Guard and Kitty Clarissa are basically made of paper, so don't really worry about needing a lot of bulk here. So all you're really doing at this point is just killing him. I accidentally messed up. That's a flub on my part. I actually did the wrong input there, but it's okay because we got some souls out of it, so it's not the end of the world. Tamarin S1 there would cause a CR push, but doesn't matter because we killed it. And now you'll see that this Perlin Spearhead, he has like no health, so he's gonna die like crazy fast. Like the second he gets a defense break, you're gonna see we just chunk like a ton of his health. Trying to decide if I want to go S2 or S3. I think at that point, because Welchie and I were talking about this while doing this together, I think at that point he informed me that the S3 here for Lilius just removes all your souls anyway, so there was no reason to throw up S3. You might as well just burn the souls. Alright, and then here we go. So she summons 3 enemies whenever she does her S3, and it's no different than the first floor. You attack Lilius, it pushes everybody up. Except these guys hit a lot harder. Like the second floor is actually the same as the first floor. There's almost no difference. If you can clear the first floor, you can clear the second floor. There's like literally no difference here. It's actually astounding that they basically just made the first and second floors identical. For the most part, they're not quite the same, but like the way you clear them is functionally the same. It's just these guys obviously have a little bit more health. Just waiting for Kitty Clarissa to come back around. That's right, because we ended the first floor early. We don't have we have less cute buff time because all your buffs go down 1 turn when you phase change. So it might seem like we're in a rough spot, but we're not. When she uses her S2 here, it just automatically makes it someone else's turn. I believe the S1 is the same as well. Yeah, I'm deciding which one to go for. I know I basically kill the first one anyway. So it wasn't worth it for me to go for it with souls there. Like, I can kill that at any time on Taranor Guard's turn. Like, Taranor Guard can literally just hit that and it will die. So there's no reason to waste a potential defense break on it. That's why I didn't go for it. And now the idol's back up, we can keep the cycle going. See, now it's Taranor Guard's turn. Just pops it. It's pretty much free. And then we killed the second one here. So now I'm going to choose to leave the third one and start putting some damage on the boss, because when Lilius uses her S3, they come back anyway, if I'm not mistaken. So I just wanted to get as much damage as I could. I didn't really care at this point. I can easily handle one of these guys, but eventually later on you'll see I just pick it off, because after you attack Lilius, you could see he gets a speed and attack buff. So he eventually starts to do quite a lot of damage. And I recognize this and adjust. Remember, this is the first time I did this fight. I literally one-shot it. So there was some trial and error, like on the fly in this actual run. It's a little bit more raw, not like scripted. Like, I haven't figured out all the nuances of the fight before we get to it. So at this point, I think I'm deliberating. I think I just killed the third one. Nah, we haven't switched to it yet, but I definitely do switch to it in a second. I think it's when he gets to 10 stacks, I decide, you know what, this is a bit much. Yeah, see, once he just does half of Kitty Clarissa's health, that's when I was like, all right, it's time to get rid of you. But you can see, like, Lilius is taking so long to get to her ultimate, because we are just taking so many more turns than them because of the Taranor Guard passive. We're just getting, like, way ahead of her. Defense break again. Taranor Guard really is just a ridiculously nuts 3-star, to be honest. Like, he's just so insanely busted for PvE. Like, he was the MVP of Abyss 109. He makes Dagger Sakar quests super, super easy. When we look at, so here we go. We're going to look to go for this S3 here. And the reason is because Lilius S3 is coming up and it's AoE. So I decided, since she's already defense broken, excuse me, it's worth it to just go for the defense buff. But then, of course, I remember right away that we might lap her from all the CR pushing. So now you'll see. We just idle again. Get rid of all of the blinds. Between idle mode and Kitty Clarissa, that blind right there, that should not mess you up in any way. If not, you might want to consider pacing yourself a little bit differently in the fight, if that's where you're wiping, potentially. And now you can see, like, we're basically back to the exact same state of the fight. It's just now everything has speed buff and attack buff. Like, this is like I guess the enrage at 50%. But again, it doesn't really matter, because you're just going to be taking, even if they have a speed buff, because of how many, or I should say how much CR you're leaping, how much you're getting ahead, it doesn't matter. Also, Tamarin at high effectiveness will actually just strip all the buffs, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, you can see I learned from my mistake here, and I'm just like, no, we just get him off the board immediately. And now you can see, like, the ads are gone. And we are so far away from Lilius's ultimate. Like, there's just no hope for her to get this ultimate back. We're just going to burst her down at this point. You're going to see, like, she's just going to start dying very quickly. Put back up the cute buff so that we can keep our dual attack train going. Yeah, the same strategy. If you again have never seen this team before, this team, even with the Taranor guard at level 50 on like okay gear, can very easily clear the Dagger Sakaar quest for Brutal Ferris. This is, if you're willing to manual it, this is the best Brutal Ferris team. And then she uses her S2 to cleanse herself and get a skill nullifier, which does nothing because my team is literally 2 attacks a turn. Idle mode again. So Lilius has gotten, since 50%, Lilius has gotten 1 turn, I believe. It was just the S2. That's how fast we're zooming here. She just has no chance to take turns. At this point, we know we've won, so we don't need to even bother with the soul burn. We know we've won on Tamarin's next turn. And there we go. Like I said, this is by far the easiest Abyss floor in like 30-something floors. Like, I one-shot. I can't remember the last time I one-shotted an Abyss floor. Granted, like I said, I had some help because Welchie beforehand had let me know that Brutal Ferris team would work on it. So looking at the stats, Raz is no different than the 111 clear. He's still just on my Basar gear with Warhorn, so he's zooming. Tamarin, again, is not any different than the 111 video. She's just, no real bulk, but okay speed for a Tamarin. She's not even like that fast. Like, honestly, my Tamarin's terrible. Rod of Amaryllis is the key thing just for the sustain. Taranor guard, again, has not changed too much here. He's on Rage gear. This is the Rage gear that Spectre was on in the previous run. Uberius' Tooth for extra damage, but you definitely want him on Rage hit. Make sure he has at least 100 effectiveness. And then Kitty Clarissa is just as fast as we can get her. Stats don't really matter.